Hello, hello. Every now and then I clean up quite nicely, but that is not what I want to talk about. I think it's time to take a stock a little bit for the last, well, we're almost half February is gone, right? So this is a taking stock of the last 2.5 months. Last 2.5 months have been quite challenging emotionally, somewhat physically. We had an uphill battle with one of my clients and friends, which unfortunately we had lost. And while we're still grieving, immediately we shifted into few celebrations from that loss. So on one side, it's kind of that you can't let death win and the cycle of life, and that everything moves on. But on the other side, you're still grieving and you're still mourning and you're still processing. And the challenge is how to honor both. Can you at the same time be in grief and mourning, and within that same frame actually be joyful and celebrating? And I think it is, and I think you can, because for as long as celebration is also a way to honor the person who had passed on. Because why do we cry? Why do we mourn? We mourn because we feel sorry for ourselves. Sorry. Because the person who is gone is gone. Their journey in this time and frame is gone and it's over. And they have moved on to another plane. Now, I firmly believe, and I mean, I work with energy, so I do know that this is not the only reality, this is not the only world. I know that spirit world is real, and I know that the soul is, and we all are going to continue our journey. We are here now in this space, time, in this form, in this realm, if you wish. But this is not the end. And this is not the only realm there is. So that, of course, helps. That knowing that our soul is, has been, and will be, and is, and continue to be. However, our human experience is unique. So when we're mourning someone and grieving for someone, we are grieving for ourselves, because our life without that person in them is going to be empty, or there will be a space that that person occupied which will going to remain empty. And that is what that grief is. That loss is for us. The soul's journey is over and that person continues. So in order to honor their memory, in order to honor their life, the most productive way is actually to rejoice, is to honor their existence and the memory through something they would appreciate, through something they would enjoy. So if that is a celebration, celebration it is. Because if we get immersed into that grief, if we get kind of consumed by the loss, then We are not living our life to the best of its capacity and potential, and we are not honoring a memory of a person we have just lost. And on the third line is the death cannot win over life. Death can never win over life. And if we become consumed by grief, that is exactly what happens then. And we should never let that win. I've seen so many cases when someone gets so consumed with their own grief that they don't spend time with living. They're spending all the time in a memory for the one who has moved on and passed on. And now, when we have that deep grief consumed, we're also suspending the soul of clearly and freely moving on. So, two souls get trapped, the living and the dead one. And that is never a good space. That is never a productive space. That is never a space of light. That is usually a space of darkness. So, of course, it's natural to grieve. Of course, it's natural to be sad. And that is something that will kind of keep on happening and it will be coming in waves and going, right? But at the same time, in order to honor the one who has passed on, the best way to honor the one who has passed on is through rejoicing the life, through living a life, through moving with the flow. So if there's celebrating, we will. And we will raise a toast to the ones who are no longer with us. But yeah, it's been a very, very challenging last few months. And that has been the reason why I have not been able to do many recordings because and I probably should have because it's always it may help someone. It is you never know what someone is truly going through. And at any given point of time, we know somebody or of someone who is going through some struggle, bigger or smaller, or who's going through some loss or through some unpleasant news or through some tragedy. The question is how many degrees, how close to home that is. And then every now and then it is people we are close to. And then every now and then, it is also someone that you get very closely involved in that whole process and you get invested personally in it. And that is how holidays went by and how Christmas went by and New Year's went by. And it's been for me personally, it's been also a little additional layer to it that I had my parents visiting at the same time. So my time has been split between the work, between my parents, and then, of course, tending to my friend and the patient. And it's kind of having those little switches switching on and off, and while you're kind of switched on and in this space, you're at the same time one foot here, then one foot is there. So it's been a lot of those little switching on and off. And I know I've been making a mental notes that because I was going to the hospital every day, and the amount of suffering you see in hospitals and the amount of fear you see and worry you see in the hospital. And at the same time, the amount of faith and surrender you see in that environment. And then that kind of, I always find it puzzling how quickly and how easily we forget to surrender, and how quickly we become arrogant and of our own and ignorant of our own mortality, of our own limitations, of our own longevities, right? And how quickly we stop being grateful for our life, for everything that is happening in our life. And then sadly, right, the something, misery strikes, or disease strikes, or accident strikes, or whatever that might be, right? And at that one moment, it kind of shifts you into space of being grateful for every extra day, being grateful for every additional of a small victories, being grateful of a small progress, and surrendering yourself in faith of your ones in divine hands, of course in the hands of a skilled doctors, but it's also that you wish those doctors to be lit by divine energy and be inspired by it, so that they come to diagnosis quickly, or they find solution to a disease, or to act appropriately. So that has been my space in the last 2.5 months. Lots of on and off switching, surrender, lots of meditation, lots of healing work that I've been doing, lots of gratefulness for having the gift to be able to help in every which way, every little way, everything counts. And then just really appreciative of my body, of my life, of my family, because when you're in that environment day in and day out, and you're seeing some same people, some different people, some people move on quicker, some release. So it also sort of prioritizes things a little differently to what we start prioritizing things when something is else is happening. And that's why I have not been so much in touch, which I'm going to change, and I'm going to be sharing these thoughts that I've been making the notes of much more and more profoundly. But don't wait to for disease or a disaster or an accident or a problems to strike to be grateful, to think of divine, to appreciate all the time that you have and have been gifted and of those around you. But at the same time, don't wait till troubles are over to be grateful, to be happy, to be joyful, to be appreciative. Take every and each day as it comes, because one day will be the last day of you or those that you love. Be grateful. Focus on the small things, small acts of kindness, and surrender yourself into divine hands. Once we do all of that, you just walk the best you can, and everything else is in divine hands. So stay well, stay happy, stay healthy, enjoy small things, be grateful, and love and light to all.